try and make an app without writing any words. So we're going to start with cursor, and we're going to open a new dev container because that makes life a lot easier. And just made an empty folder here. Off we go with that, and we're just going to use a default TypeScript node somewhere in here. Nope, that's not the one. There we go. Node and TypeScript. Let's use the default one, nothing special, and off it runs. So the cursor is now going to start opening up a dev container, which will isolate all the code and make sure that we haven't added anything. We're not dependent on anything that's installed on my local computer. I'm not cheating in any way. Normally, Cursor's implementation of dev containers ends up crashing on the first run, so I will probably have to restart Cursor once it's finished building. In the meantime, let's start writing our app. So we're going to make a to-do list app. Let's have a title bar. Let's have some, where's my text gone? There we go. Let's have switch to what? No. Sorry, it's been a while since I've used Affinity. I have some white text up here. To-do list app. What else are we going to have on this screen? So we're going to want, let's have a give it a, I don't know what color background, fine, that'll do. And this is immediately showing how inconvenient some of this is for writing stuff. So let's say current items, and I have to keep remembering to switch off from the currently selected item. And let's go. We're going to put a text name of the item. So buy groceries. Make that fit. Make it a bit smaller. But we're going to put like a tick box next to it or something like that. So let's do a, let's have a rectangle tool. Great, thank you. White fill, and then let's just copy paste a bunch of this to make some more. Meanwhile, I'll have a quick look to see how Cursor's doing. No, we don't want that. That's a weird thing that Cursor has that's custom, and we definitely don't want. Okay, so it looks like it does look like the container has started okay. Let's just bring up a terminal, and I'm just going to see if npm is there. So npm isn't installed on my local machine, so the fact that npm runs shows we are inside this container as intended. Let's have something else here. Buy groceries, do laundry, and let's make this a different background color. I'm not sure why it would be a different background color. Green looks too good. And then let's have something that we have checked off, which we will put in green. And let's change the text to black. And we're going to want a tick box. Is there a convenient tick? No, there isn't, so we will draw one. We're going to go tick, 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 tick. I'll make it a bit smaller in a moment. And switch to line mode, give it a thickness. That'll do. Bring it to the front. Change the color. change the stroke color, I mean. Let's do that and make it a bit smaller. Make it a bit more convenient size. Make the stroke a bit less fat. Yeah, that'll do. There's something else that's got, oh, it's because it's trying to do the fill, so let's get rid of the fill. Right, there we go. And we'll get rid of these were an accident. So now we've got this, and let's copy paste this and call it completed items. Sorry, I want that to align up nicely. I just need to make the text box a bit bigger, and let's change the color of this to something like that. There we go. And then we're going to need an interface for adding a new item, aren't we? So we'll need a button. Need to reset these a bit to something sensible. Make that grey, make this probably even subtler. Put some text on the front. That'll do. Fine. That's a bit ugly. That's actually spectacularly ugly. I not really want to stick with that. And do we want it that you tap the button and you get the pop-up, or do we want it that you type the item in? Difficult choice. Let's go with we'll give you a text field to type into. Yeah, fine, we'll do a rounded rectangle. And we'll put some text in there. Make it grey and put something like type your new to-do item here. Make it italic. That didn't quite work. Make it there we go, italic. Sorry, I've lost the text selection here. Right, so make italic, make it a bit smaller. That'll do. And we'll just put it down in the middle of it. There we go. So now we have a basic to-do list app. Oh, we need to give the whole thing a background color as well. So let's just stick a great big white rectangle, put it to the back. In fact, let's make it a bit more interesting of a color. Let's make this desaturated and bring it up to a very pale gray. There we go. So there's our image. So now we're going to, there's a couple of different ways we can do this, but I think what we'll do is let's try a screenshot of, ideally I'd actually save it as an image, but I'm being lazy right here. So that gives us a screenshot, copy to the clipboard, and here we go. Paste into cursor. And the first challenge is going to be how much extra information we need to give it and how we're going to give it that information without writing any words. So it's decided to do a responsive to-do list application using React and TypeScript. Okay. Let's have a look at the package JSON it's created while it's going. Relatively sensible. Using Vite. Right, while it's doing that, is there anything else we want to add to this in terms of features? Probably would want an edit button, wouldn't we? So while it's thinking about that, let's think about how we might add an edit button to this display. So we'd probably have, let's take our, gonna try locking that one. Yeah, so lock the background so it won't get in the way. Let's duplicate our button and turn this into an edit, if I can grab the thing. There. And so obviously we'd need an edit on both of them. And we're going to have some interface for confirming completion, but let's see how this goes. So how far has Cursor got? It's made a source folder, it's got a main that's doing nothing, it's built one type to do item with text, completed, and color. I'm guessing color is so that it can support these background colors on these. We're going to want a delete button as well, aren't we? So ideally I would insert a trash can icon at this point. So let's just, while we're here, let's go to Firefox and go grab some. We want an open source one. Can I have, not very helpful, can I have something that's definitely, there we go, Creative Commons? That would help. Let's try this one. Small PNG, that would do. Well, that site doesn't seem to work very well. But we can grab it like this, copy, paste, resize, stick it on the end of here, and can we fill it to be red? There is a way of doing this, I've done it before. I don't think that will work. No. Yeah, that was overly optimistic. Anyway, we'll stick 2 copies of that, and we'll make these a bit longer to make it clear that it's part of that. How far has Cursor got to? It wants to npm install. Fine. Because it's running inside a container, this might not work. I might have to do it for it, but we'll see what happens. I think since there's only one container, it'll be fine. It's when you get multiple containers in a Docker file up and running that the Cursor agent tends to get confused about which container is which and tries to install modules in the wrong containers. Ideally, if I'd done this by hand, I would have actually insisted on having a separate back-end container and a front-end container to make it easier to deploy. But let's see how far we get with this. Right, and let's try localhost 3000. Watch it fail to come up. Yeah, not brilliant. What have you stuck in the package, Jason? Yeah, sorry, npm dev. Why? Sorry. Okay, that looks like it should work this time. So it's probably just still compiling. There we have. That's pretty close, to be honest. And of course, looks a bit nicer than my crappy version. So what we're going to do now is we want to tell it, well, we want to add an edit button and a trash can button. How are we going to do that? I could just send it the full screen screenshot. Okay, you can sort of. If you click on the tick box, it selects and unselects. And this is where it starts to get interesting. Oh, let's try new thing and hit enter. And it worked. Awesome. So let's try. We're just going to do a screenshot that just shows the bits we've changed. And we'll see if that works. Here we go, cursor. Try this. Meanwhile, I'm going to do an accept all on the other conversation because there is no reason not to. And then we can see more easily what's changed. I was thinking the other way we could, oh, there you go, look at that, what's missing? Based on the image, edit functionality, delete functionality, the edit and delete buttons shown in the image. Now we're struggling a bit because it's asked a question with 3 options, and how am I going to tell it? Let me know if you'd like me to implement those features or if there's something else you'd like to work with. Self-imposed constraints coming back to bite me here. Let's take the full screenshot. So it understands what we want to do. It's just looking for confirmation. So I just give it the full screenshot and be like, yeah, that, do it, mate. Come on, cursor. Yes. Yes. Oh, that's better. So the reason I gave it the smaller screenshot first was I was hoping to make sure that it put into the conversation words about edit and delete, so that then when I gave it, if I had to give it the full screenshot, it would already have put the words into the conversation without me having to say anything. Come on. The bit that's going to get challenging is when we want a database to back this, but I have some ideas for that. And I suspect auto reload is not working here in this container, so I'm just going to manually restart it. There we go, we have an edit button. Groceries. Yep, and we have a delete button. And it doesn't complete it, and it's gone. Brilliant. And we can still add new things. Yes, excellent. So if we wanted a database to back this, how I would try to convey that is to say, pick up some standard imagery for this. Right, there you go. That is a fairly standard image of a database. Is there a better one we can get? I'm just looking for something that's unambiguous, that it's going to understand reasonably. See, what I would probably do at this point, ideally, is pick one of the design languages from something like, what's it called? Draw.io, which of course is now a Google thing and does something else entirely. And in Draw.io, there is a set of pre-made database, pre-made icons for things like this, and there are some sets that correspond to like AWS, for instance, which could make some of this more easy to get working. So I could really cheat and stick that as my image, which is quite explicitly a MySQL database. But let's just see what other options we can find in here. Not particularly loving any of those. I would probably go with this one normally. Who is this? Yes, because this has got various cloud things. No, I'll go with the easier one. Can we find? What I want is the package this came from, the library. Here we go. Oh, that one's Active Directory. I mean, that's not great because I don't want it to jump into making an Active Directory thing. But let's go database, and we want the website here. So we're going to have the website, we have a database. We're going to have the client. Is there anything else we need on here? Probably not. That's going to connect to that, that's going to connect to that, and that's going to connect to back into that. Sorry, this is the editing interface is not working at the moment. So, and we really need to tell it that we want that to be MySQL, but that would be cheating. Let's see what it comes up with. So there's our image. What I will do is I will keep all, so that if this next bit goes wrong, we can revert it quite quickly. Yes, yes, yes. Client application and database layers. Indeed, it is missing. Here, there you go. It's missing the backend server and databases. Would you like me to help you add a backend server, add a database, convert? Yeah, all of those. Would it be too much of a cheat for me to just take a screenshot of its tick box and use that as a cheeky way of saying yes? Damn it! No, that didn't work. So we're going to want to go backwards in this conversation. We're going to go back to here and instead get rid of that image. How can we convey, yeah, I want all of those. I want a backend server, I want a database, and I want you to convert it to use the backend. I've got an idea. What if we take this and we bring that into our Photoshop clone? Not quite like that. Do a new document, stick that on there, and then I'm just going to copy and paste my previous screenshot, this one here, bring this in as well. So now we've got, I'm going to try and diagrammatically show that I want it to implement. Let's say, how explicit do I need to be before cursor just gives up and goes, okay, fine, I will go and implement the thing. there and stick that there. Right, just make the background a little bit bigger. Fine. So if I now do this, going really dumbass here. If this doesn't work, my next attempt will be to open a new tab, start a fresh conversation. Yes, excellent. It's up and running. I'll shut down this while I'm here. It's made a server folder. Right, yeah, with its own package JSON. That's a good start. If this works, of course, I'm going to need to come up with an interesting name for this. VisualVibeCoding? I don't know. Something. This is unfortunately going to take a while because it's got to get the whole of the back end. It's got to then write the interfaces to connect the front end and the back end. Cursor and even the Sonnet models will often mess up its first attempt at connecting a front end to a back end unless you handhold it. So then it will go through several rounds, probably, of linter errors and compiler errors. Because it's all within one container, I'm not expecting to get problems with compile errors of the types being unavailable in one project. But when you use multiple containers, it often gets very confused about how the different, like Node.js versus, in this case, Vite, are going to pick up the different shared JavaScript files. But fingers crossed, none of that will go too badly wrong. Okay, yeah, it's deleted the hard-coded items. Still not seeing any evidence of a... Oh no, sorry, I tell a lie. It has created a database in there. Now, one of the interesting challenges is going to be to indicate to it that I now want it to move that database table out of the server.js and into a file of its own. Because obviously in this state it's going to be unmaintainable. It's got the entire server all in a single file and the database all in a single file. And it's using SQLite 3, which is horrible for this use case. It technically works, but it's a massive cheat. See how well it does, though. And it's adding this stuff around a loading state, as if there's going to be a delay loading from the database, when obviously it will be instant, seeing as it is a local database running locally. It's created a README. It's enabled cores. That's a lot better than the a lot of what I've seen them default to. Oh, it's default to Invar. So just notice as well, it's trying to run the server on localhost 3001, which is a good step because otherwise it's going to conflict with the Vite front end. And there was a bit there about running it. Yep. So I'm going to open a second terminal. I know it's not actually finished yet, but okay, it wants us to. I'm going to use this terminal for this server. So just following its instructions there, which honestly make perfect sense. I'm expecting it to do npm install on its own, but maybe it won't. Oh, Oh wow, it's creating a script to automatically start the server. Unnecessary, but yeah. So we'll run npm install on the server. Try running the server. I haven't checked if that's the right run command, but that's the one it gave us. Then did that error? Oh no, it's running on port 3001. So now if we go back to the main app, and hopefully, fingers crossed, so let's go first item. Well, enter no longer works to create an item, but never mind. And let's put, we're going to complete one of these and leave the other one as a uncompleted item. There we go. And now we are going to shut down the, sorry, get rid of that message, shut down the server, restart the server, and use this to verify that we actually have a working database or not. Well, we sort of have a working database. We now have a duplicated item. Now we're into debug mode, but I'm going to stop the video. I'm fairly obvious that this is working as a basic approach. What I would now do is I'd now be like taking a screenshot of that, but then also taking, like getting it to home in on the fact that there's two of these. So I might make like another item, let it duplicate and see what happens. But on the whole, that's worked.